You want the whole story turned into a single, seamless, natural, real-life American storytelling script. No part breaks, no labels, just pure narrative in a voice that feels like someone is sitting down, telling you their wildest, strangest life chapter in one go. All right, here's your 1,850-word cinematic retelling, keeping the emotional highs, the twist, the authenticity, and that hook right up front. So settle in. You ever have a day where you wake up and think, wow, I guess today's the day I become public enemy number one, and I didn't even sign up for the club? Because that's exactly what happened to me. The HOA tried to demolish my house. The punchline? I wasn't even in their damn HOA. Yeah, you heard that right. They sent fake officers, forged notices, demanded $18,000 because my old house supposedly hurt the neighborhood's aesthetic, but they forgot one crucial thing. I record everything. And that, right there, is how their whole empire crumbled to dust, one petty power play at a time. But let me back up a second, because before the lawsuits, before the drama, before any of that mess, there was just this weird, aching silence. When I left Boston, it wasn't some movie moment. There was no explosion behind me, no ex-wife chasing me down the hallway, no crowd on the courthouse steps. Just me, tired, carrying the ghost of a marriage that ended long before I signed anything, and the realization that I hadn't actually felt peace in years. So I sold the last antiques I owned, packed my car with the basics, and drove south. No map, no plan, just heading anywhere the cold Boston wind couldn't follow. Honestly, I landed in Virginia by accident. I found the house on a listing that barely qualified as an ad. 3 faded photos and a line that said, "Pre-war home as is, needs full restoration." Most people would scroll right past it. But when I pulled up that gravel driveway, there was this 1940s mansion, all battered and worn, leaning like a tire man at a bus stop. Stucco peeling, stained glass cracked, Spanish tiles scattered in the grass. But beneath all that mess, you could feel the bones. Real bones. The kind of home someone built with pride, thinking their grandkids would still be running up the stairs one day. The kicker? The neighborhood around it was the opposite, Stonecrest. Perfect driveways, perfect shutters, mailboxes so new they practically squeaked, the kind of place where even the robins probably have to file a noise complaint to sing. And there was my house, perched at the edge like a stubborn old-timer, refusing to die. The agent called it a tear down, whispered it, like she didn't want the house to hear. I didn't see a tear down. I saw a second chance. Maybe more for me than for the building, if I'm honest. So I paid cash, $180,000, which is less than half what my neighbors spent on their SUVs, and the agent just stood there blinking, waiting for the joke. There wasn't one. That same day, I rolled back with a rented truck full of tools and a box of jazz records, determined to rebuild slow and honest. The only sound most days was work. Hammer on wood, tile on tile, the old beams sighing like they were grateful to be touched again. Evenings, I'd sit on the porch, drinking strong coffee, letting the quiet soak in, almost hearing the past breathing around me. But from the get-go, I knew I wasn't really alone. Across the street, behind a curtain that never quite closed, was this woman. Tight blonde bun, pearls, posture so straight you'd think she swallowed a curtain rod. No smile, no wave, just watching. Sometimes she'd nudge another neighbor, gesture at my scaffolding or the reclaimed lumber, always with this mix of suspicion and smugness. I didn't know her name back then. Didn't know what she was capable of. Didn't know she'd send fake officers to my gate, forge demolition orders, or try to shake me down for $18,000. All I knew, for the first time in years, I had something worth protecting. And that was enough. Let me tell you, you learn a thing or two about patience and craftsmanship when you spend years handling antiques. Tools from the 1920s still work if you respect them. Furniture from the 1880s still stands if you understand the grain. Old houses respond to patience just like people do. So the first months in Virginia were simple. I woke with the sun, fixed what was broken, worked through the to-do list one cracked tile at a time. The roof came first. Most of the tiles were cracked, a few hanging on like stubborn old soldiers. I replaced what I could, ordered hand-pressed clay replacements from some outfit in Colorado. Then the porch, Layers of paint hid some beautiful Art Deco ironwork, understated but elegant. The garden came next. Wild, overgrown, but if you looked close, you could see the ghost outlines of old flower beds and brickwork from 1946. I dug up the old plans, restored every bed. Dusty pink, climbing roses, boxwoods in gentle curves, lavender that smelled like real summer mornings. But you know how it goes. Suburbs don't like surprises. SUVs slowed as I worked. Neighbors stared, some taking photos. One jogger stopped, hands on hips. "Are you allowed to do all that?" I just smiled and said, "Allowed by who?" She jogged away, no answer. Across the street, that same blonde woman kept watching. Sometimes binoculars, sometimes a notebook, always that looked like she thought everything around her was her responsibility. Months passed. Floorboards got replaced, bricks got pointed, archways got reinforced with reclaimed mahogany. The house started to stand tall again, stained glass glowing, garden coming back to life. I really thought maybe, just maybe, the worst was behind me. Turns out, peace is just the last deep breath before a storm rolls in. And mine showed up in the form of a black SUV, tinted windows, engine humming at my gate like a predator circling its prey. Two men climbed out, one tall, built like a bouncer, sunglasses, discount police shirt with a cheap taser on his belt. The other, shorter, broad, compliance inspector badge clipped to his khakis. No real badge, no city plates, just swagger. They didn't even knock. Marched up my driveway like they owned the dirt. "I'm Officer David Lawn, Stonecrest Police Division," the tall one barked. I nearly laughed. Stonecrest isn't even a town, just a fancy name. His partner, Ross, started in about unauthorized restoration, architectural violations, and some nonsense called the visual influence zone. According to them, my house, because it could be seen from Stonecrest, had to meet their aesthetic standards, even though I wasn't in the HOA. I played dumb, let them dig their own hole. "So, what happens if I don't pay up?" I asked, and they hit me with it. Pay $18,000 retroactive dues and fines, or they'd file for condemnation, safety inspections, and all kinds of threats. I nodded, let them think I was scared, then told them to leave unless they had a real warrant. They stormed off, gravel flying, but I already had everything on camera. Didn't even get 24 hours before they came back. This time with a fake stop work order, more threats, more bluster. I collected it all. Fake signatures, pixelated seals, notices full of mistakes. Then, that evening, an old Ford truck rolled up, and out stepped Mr. Crane, a neighbor with a beard that could sweep the porch, hat pulled low, voice like gravel. "You've stirred up a hornet's nest," he said. Turns out those so-called officers were just hired muscle, contractors who'd bounce from HOA gig to repo gig, no authority, just a knack for intimidation. Crane handed me a fake violation letter addressed to both of us. "You're being set up," he warned, "and you're not the first." That's when it all clicked. Karen Bullock, HOA Queen Bee, wanted my land for her expansion project. Parking lot, clubhouse, whatever would make her the empress of Stonecrest. And me? I was just an obstacle in the way. The next morning, security cameras caught Ross hiding behind trees, taking pictures like some dollar store private eye. Then, a white Lexus parked near my property. Karen herself, sunglasses, perfect hair, not even pretending to be subtle. She left a letter, final courtesy notice, threatening enforcement, signed with her name. I scanned it, added it to my growing folder of evidence. Now, I'm not the type to back down. I started digging through county records. 3 months before I bought the house, Stonecrest HOA filed an inquiry. Wanted to acquire my property for community expansion. Their plan? Let the house rot, declare it blighted, seize it through code violations. But they hadn't counted on me buying it, restoring it, ruining their plan. And the best twist? I found proof the house was historic, protected under Virginia law. Anything over 75 years old with original features couldn't be altered or demolished by an HOA. That was my trump card. Then, scrolling through filings, I found a blight preparation outline. A literal playbook for faking complaints, manufacturing evidence, escalating pressure until an owner caved. Organized extortion, plain as day. That's when I made my move. I bought a sliver of land next to my property, cheap, forgotten by some old trust. With that, I could legally form my own HOA, the Historic Stone Crest Society. One house, one member, but it meant my rules, historic preservation rules, overrode Karen's. I filed the paperwork, wrote a charter, and laughed out loud when the county approved it. That night, I toasted around too. This time, the gloves were off. Next day, Karen showed up on my porch. "You can't just make a rogue HOA," she snapped. I smiled, pointed to the brass plaque on my gate. "Sure can. State says so. And my historic designation trumps your aesthetic policy." She smiled, a cold, dangerous smile, and promised I'd regret it. But hours later, I got an anonymous email with a recording, Karen plotting with Ross. "If the city won't act, we have other options." Desperate, and desperate people always slip up. When the next set of compliance officers arrived, two guys in blue polos, fake badges, rental SUV, I let them talk themselves right into a felony. They tried to push past me, threaten a mandatory entry order, until the sheriff stepped out from behind the house, asked to see their IDs, and radioed for backup. Watching those two get marched to a cruiser, not gonna lie, felt better than any bourbon I've ever sipped. The hearing came fast. The room was packed. Neighbors, reporters, even people who'd avoided me for months. Karen and her attorney looked smug, sure they'd win. But my lawyer, Ezra, calmly laid out every piece of evidence. Fake notices, forgeries, recordings, that HOA memo Crane found in the trash. One by one, the dominoes fell, expansion denied, fake officers exposed, criminal charges recommended. Karen's attorney walked out. She sat alone, white-knuckled, as the hearing officer called for a full investigation. That next morning, the air felt different. Not just lighter, right? Neighbors waved for the first time. Karen's house had a for sale sign, curtains drawn tight. The HOA scrambled to save face, but the story was out. Nobody wanted to be the next headline. "Mr. Crane came by, nodded at my shiny new plaque. Protected by history, not by HOA, he grinned. Keep it. Truth's supposed to be simple." Later, I wandered my garden, roses climbing, boxwoods trimmed, sunlight warming the old stones. For the first time, I didn't feel like I was walking through a project. I was walking through home. Just home. And as dusk settled in, porch light flickering, I sipped my coffee and breathed in the quiet I'd fought so hard to win. So, here's my question for you. What would you have done if someone tried to steal your home with nothing but threats and cheap paper? Do you fight back? Do you walk away? Drop your thoughts below and tell me, what does justice mean where you live? I want to hear your story, because around here, I finally learned you only get the peace you're willing to fight for.